Hello, AlzaboHD here, and welcome to a brand new series for you guys today. We are going to be playing Stellaris, the latest Paradox interactive 4X strategy game that takes place in space. Of course, due to the fact that this is a 4X strategy game, our goal will be inevitably to explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate the opposition. That's what all those 4X's stand for. Pretty clever, isn't it? Well, today we are going to be starting off as the Terrascian Union. Now this is I guess a species or race or even an empire that I have created before this video has come out. I'm just going to go ahead and get into exactly what this, I guess, union is exactly. Now, I do apologize for the late release of this video. Unlike other YouTubers, I was not able to obtain an early access, I guess, pre-release code for Steam in order to record some videos before the release. 4 Hearts of Iron 4, don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and get a key for that. I just completely forgot, it escaped my mind. So that is going to explain why this video is out like 1 or 2 days after the release. So, before we get started, what exactly is the Terrascian Union, and why am I playing them? Well, this is a custom empire that I've decided to make based upon the Soviet Union. Now, this is not the Soviet Union, and this is not, I guess, really exactly what the Soviet Union is or was, but in fact, it is I guess, galactic alternative to the Soviet Union. Somewhere out in space, this empire exists in an alternate reality, in an alternate Earth, and I'm going to explain exactly what the species is all about. Now, in Stellaris, as you guys can see, there are a lot of different choices to customize your chosen empire. For example, you can choose really whatever type of race you want. You can make your guys, birds, you can make them insects, you can make them, these really disgusting looking musculoid type of creatures. But for the time being, we're going to go with humans. And I'm actually going to go back just because, yeah, I don't want to lose my fantastic hair over here from my leader. So anyways, this is going to be a civilization that is based upon galactic communism. And this is going to be an interesting empire for a variety of reasons. So let's go ahead and get into exactly what this empire is and what our goals are going to be. So again, I've named this empire the Terrascian Union, as the planet Terra is I guess, analogous to our Earth. Of course, Terra is the Latin, I guess, form of Earth. You will see this in other science fiction games such as, God, what's that game called? StarCraft 2 with the Terrans. Yeah, that's exactly what Blizzard was naming them after. Instead of Terran, though, instead of Terran Union, I've opted for Terrascian. It's a bit of an interesting twist on things. And of course, all of these names are, I guess, lined up with that. So we're going to go and go to the, I guess, interesting things of what makes our empire unique. Now, in Stellaris, you have a lot of different, I guess, sorts of choices in terms of what type of traits you can give for your species and your galactic empire. Now, in, I guess, the theme or the flavor of the Soviet Union, I've opted to make these guys natural physicists. These guys are natural scientists. Their physics output is increased. They are really quite good scientists, just like the Soviet Union had some pretty damn good scientists as well. Of course, rocket scientists, of course, astronauts, or rather cosmonauts, such as Yuri Gagarin. Of course, they were the first nation to send men into outer space, so I'm going to honor them with our first run here in Stellaris. Now, besides natural physicists, they have a negative trait, which is decadent. Now, this species requires slaves or servants to feel content. Now, this is diverging slightly from the Soviet model, as the Soviet Union didn't really exactly employ slaves, unless if you're counting, the Soviet Gulag system in Siberia, which is kind of where I'm going from this. The Soviet Union employed a lot of, I guess, prisoner of war labor and other types of less than stellar uses of human labor, forced labor. So that's what I'm getting at here. They didn't outright call them slaves, but instead they were seen as some sort of prison labor type of system. So I have given the Terrascian Union a negative trait of decadence. So they need slaves or servants to feel content. This is a bit of a stretch, I guess. This is, again, not exactly a physical reincarnation of the Soviet Union, but we will be using the Soviet model. Now, the last one, this one is definitely Soviet in flavor, the Conformists. These people always seek consensus and are more likely to conform to the governing ethics. Well, in a communist system, this is definitely not a surprise. The party toes the line, and the people follow the party line. Of course, if you don't follow the party line, you end up being purged, which is a great feature of Stellaris that we will get into later on. You can, of course, purge and exterminate your population centers if they do not conform to your ethics. But just to allow us a bit of leeway in this regard, I have decided to take conformism just so that these ethics convergence or divergence do not, people do not diverge too far from the party line. This is incredibly important in a communist system of government. Now, for the ruler, I've gone ahead and given him some hair with a beard. I don't really know what's more dystopian than some, pale-looking guy with a beard and some hair. I'm thinking more along the lines of the movie Equilibrium, if you guys have seen it. I mean, this guy is just looking dystopian. Look at him. I mean, he's got the beard, he's got the hair, he's got those soul-piercing eyes, and really, there's nothing more dystopian about that. Now, instead of going with the Russian flavor, of course, in real life, the Soviet Union was based upon Russia. Well, in this is a bit of an alternate world, so we're going for less of a Russian flavor because I don't speak Russian and I don't know too much in terms of, the Russian language. I've gone ahead and named him Olafir, which is the leader, and I don't really know what Olafir is. It's like Oliver, but more Scandinavian, and Olanovo, it almost sounds Finnish. I was kind of going for like this Northern European sounding, naming system. Of course, the new rulers will be named something different, perhaps procedurally generated, perhaps I will be able to name them myself, but this is not too important. We don't really care about our ruler. Let's go down to the homeworlds. So this is an interesting, area in which Stellaris excels. You can choose not only the name of your homeworld and your star name, and of course your starting solar system, but you can also choose what planets your species or your empire is most accustomed to. Now, because we are going to be playing with a human-based, species here, I've gone ahead and chosen the continental world subset, which is the most closely similar to that of our own planet here on Earth. So this is not too surprising. I suppose if I was going to add more of a Russian flavor, I could have opted for, an Arctic or a tundra world, but let's face it, continental world seems more natural, so we're going to go along with that. Now for the homeworld name, as you guys can see, I've gone with Terrascia. Of course, I could just name it Terra. It doesn't really matter either way, but we're going to go with the Terrassa just because we are rolling with the Terrascian Union. Star name, I could have named it the Sun, but I decided to name it Solus. I'm not sure if that's Latin, but it sounds more sophisticated, let's be honest. And for our solar system, we can actually make it just like Earth, meaning that there will be Saturn, Venus, and, Pluto, although Pluto is no longer a planet, of course. Thank you, scientists. But we can change it around. We can make this the Sol system, we can make it the Deneb system, we can make it random. Let's go with the Sol system, that's fine for now. In terms of the city appearance, we're going to go with Mammalian. Of course, you could change it. There are a lot of different options here. The Fungaloid city looks kind of funky. I kind of like the look of it, although for the time being, we're going to go with the Mammalian city as our species as is Mammalian. We should at least match, that particular theme with our theme. So, here comes the interesting section of the government and ethics screen for the Terrascian Union. Now, as I said before, this is going to be an intergalactic communist dictatorship. And what's more to like about a intergalactic dictatorship than collectivism? Now, this is something that refers to the fact that our people are not individualistic. That is to say that they do not form their own opinions, they do not go out and form their own businesses. No, they are collectivist. They follow the party line. Society has long since evolved past the insignificant rivalries and concerns of individuals. We are numerous but one, and the needs of many outweigh the needs of the few, comrade. This is what our union is all about. There's nothing more communist than collectivism. Now, with that being said, there are many choices that you could choose from in Stellaris. They're all interesting, and they all have their own drawbacks, and pluses or minuses to them. For example, a lot of the system of governments are locked out, depending on what type of choices you choose in your ethics screen. I'll get into that more in a minute. But for our second choice, you actually get 3 ethics points. I spent our 2 last ethics points on fanatic materialism. Now, this is something that's quite interesting. This is on the opposite spectrum of spiritualism, which is, I guess, religion. And as we all know, the Soviet Union was an atheistic empire. That is to say, a godless empire. Religion was frowned upon, religion was outlawed, and science, or at least the Soviet version of science, the Communist Party version of science, was advocated. So for the Terrascian Union, I've gone ahead and decided to go ahead and do something very similar. Now, because we are fanatic materialists, our scientific output is going to be quite a bit advanced in comparison to other alien empires. And as it says in the flavor text, although it hurts, we must grow up and put aside our outdated notions of morality. There is no divine spark granting special value to a living mind. No object has any intrinsic value apart from what we choose to grant it. Let us embrace the freedom of certitude and achieve maximum efficiency in all things. This is sort of like the ideal version of communism, past the point of socialism in one country. This is indeed where all members of society are simply cogs in a greater machine, a machine that is destined towards efficiency. So this is what the Terrascian Union is all about. We are godless scientists, and we are collectivists. We do not believe in individual rights and freedoms. Instead, we must all strive for the improvement and betterment of our society and nation. And what's better with all of these combined than to choose the most dystopian and the most totalitarian system of government that I could find here, which is a despotic hegemony. Now, what is a despotic hegemony? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, you probably didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyways. A despotic hegemony is a government that is a materialistic form of autocracy, where citizens are viewed as little more than cogs in the state machinery. Efficiency and technological progress are valued above all things. This gives us a research speed and survey speed increase, which is fantastic. And now basically what this is this is a dictatorship with, a head of state who is Olafir right here. You're going to see his face quite often, I have a feeling. And basically, this is the most scientific dictatorship that I could find. This is the ideal form of scientific dictatorship that I was able to find, and I believe this is somewhat analogous to Joseph Stalin's rule of the Soviet Union, where every member of society had to contribute their parts, and if you didn't toe the party line, you would be purged to Siberia. Well, we won't have Siberia in this particular Let's Play series, but we will have off-world colonies where we will send our dissenting enslaved populations. We'll get into that more in a minute. But I think you guys all have a good idea of what the Terrascian Union is all about. It's certainly dystopian. I would not want to live there, but it definitely makes for some good flavor text of a very good, context of what we're getting into here. So again, Terrascian Union, yes. And the flag. Well, we were not able to find a hammer and sickle because Paradox Interactive is trying to get rid of these political symbols that carry historical baggage, right? We don't want to have the hammer and sickle. We don't want the swastika. So instead, we've got kind of like these futuristic congruous symbols. They're all pretty similar and congruent. I've chosen to go ahead and work with, well, what did I work with? Let's go back really fast. Hit edit. I like it. It's like this little spherical thing. Very interesting, right? Well, I've chosen the, color of our empire to be red. Glorious Soviet red, where we will extend our communist rule to the stars with the glorious red flag that you see here. Well, let's go ahead and get into the starting weapons, Ftl method, and ship appearance for our empire, as I would like to go ahead and start this Let's Play before we run out of time. So, for starting weapons, I've opted for energy weapons, because what is more communist than red lasers? I don't really know exactly how these play out as compared to the projectile weapons and missile weapons. As you guys can see here, they are effective at medium and close range, largely ignoring the bulk of enemy armor. That's okay, we can always upgrade them later. As for the Ftl method, I've initially selected warp travel, as this is recommended for new players, although we might want to do something later on in a different Let's Play. Perhaps wormhole travel looks very interesting. And remember, this is my first, play here at this game. I don't have any idea how the game mechanics work. I know a very basic background of what to expect in Stellaris, but I'm not exactly quite familiar with this game like I am in Europa Universalis. So you guys can learn along with me as you follow this Let's Play series. I will learn along with you, and we will make many mistakes. That is why I am opting to choose the warp travel Ftl method here. Now for the ship appearance, this is very basic. You could choose between the human ships, the reptilian ships, avian ships, musculoid ships, fungaloid ships, and anthropoid ships. They all look interesting. They all have, I guess, their own aesthetic background. I don't really think this really impacts too much in the way of actual gameplay. So let's go ahead and hit next and get started. Here we go, guys. This is the Terrascian Union. We are ready to get started. Now, before we start any game in Stellaris, you are able to customize the setup of your galaxy. We're going to go with large because I'm currently running on my laptop. I am still abroad in France, so I don't have access to my power gaming desktop. So we're going to wait until I have access to that powerful desktop before I attempt to do huge. So for the time being, we're going to go rolling with large. The galaxy shape, you have multiple choices here, a ring, spiral, and elliptical galaxy. We're going to opt for elliptical for the time being. And for AI empires, we could increase this a little bit, perhaps going with 24 as opposed to 23. I do like round numbers. An advanced AI start. Well, what exactly is an advanced AI start? Well, these guys are the fallen empires of the game. They are typically much larger in territorial extent than the other AI nations. However, that being said, they are not able to recruit their own ships. Once you destroy their fleets, they are permanently gone from the game, as they are supposedly fallen in terms of technology. They don't know how to create new technology or create new sorts of ships, but they're able to maintain what they have. That is not to say that they are easy or pushovers. These are the, I guess, Stellaris equivalents of France, Austria, and the Ottoman Empire, if I'm going to be using Europa Universalis, I guess, analogies here. So, they're going to be very, very powerful. We want to avoid them. Difficulty, we're going to go with normal, of course, allowed Ftl method all, and Iron Man mode, of course. We want to achieve the achievements here in Stellaris, and much like every other Paradox interactive game, Iron Man mode is the way to go if you want to improve your gameplay and prevent yourself from being able to save scum. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, unfortunately, I am recording on a new, I guess, software that is called DxStory. I normally record using NVIDIA Shadowplay, but it is not yet compatible for this game. So, one second, as this robot is annoyingly speaking over me. Right. So I'm not able to record in NVIDIA Shadowplay, which means that I have to cut down these videos into 20-minute segments in order for me to render them properly. These videos are much, much bigger in terms of file size than the normal videos that I produce using NVIDIA Shadowplay, so you'll have to bear with me. The quality will be a little bit better, but the frame rate will be about 30 FPS, unfortunately. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and tell me everything. Give me the full tutorial. This will help us both learn, me, of course, as well as you, the viewer. Right, so good to know. Yeah, okay, stop talking. So anything I do, this guy is going to start talking to us, which is fantastic. I did play a quick game earlier, but again, I am not well versed in this game at all. But what I do know is that we do start off with a home system, we do start off with a science ship, a construction ship, and a small fleet, which we will want to expand immediately. Now, in our solar system, we see that we already have most of this scattered about. We, however, do not have, we have not surveyed any of these planets, so we're going to go ahead and survey them immediately with our science ship, the Columbus. Do not tell me anything, I already know about this. So we're going to go ahead and survey this system in specific. If we go ahead and pull out over here, this is actually our territorial space. So the Terrascian Union is in the eastern part of the elliptical galaxy, which is a pretty good spot. We could probably safely more or less expand to the east without running into the neighbors. And this entire segment over here is basically where we can warp to, which is fantastic. So with that being said, let's go ahead and survey the system over, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and survey Solus, which is our solar system. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. let's go ahead and get back into the map over here. So our science ship is now moving around the system to survey the stars. Hopefully we can somehow, or not stars, rather the planets and their moons. Hopefully we will be able to find some moons that have resources where we can construct additional, I guess, scientific and mining outposts, which is very interesting. And this Let's Play series is actually going to come to a close now, as I have reached the 20-minute mark. Stay tuned for part 2, where we expand in space, working on the infrastructure of our planet, and sending out our scouts to try to see if there are any other extrasolar empires near our borders. I hope you guys enjoyed the very first episode of the Terrascian Union Let's Play Stellaris Let's Play series. That was a bit redundant, I do apologize. And again, this episode was more of an introduction to, I suppose, the Empire creator and less on the gameplay. So if you guys are finishing watching this and have a sort of valued sense in your mouth, you guys didn't get as much as you wanted out of this one, I feel you guys. I wish I could fit 30-minute videos into this software, but as it is, these videos are already basically 50 or 60 gigabytes in space. It's just simply untenable. So stay tuned for episode 2. It'll be out very soon. I'll be uploading these as regularly as my upload speed permits. So again, stay tuned for episode 2. I will see you guys there, and I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.